want to show you something.
On the morning shift.
Anything
could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. I'm glad to be here with you. I'm glad that you're here with us right here on CKLU 96.7 FM on the radio. We're also live at CKLU streaming on the internet at cklu.ca. You just go there and you click on the Radio Player Canada app logo and you can listen to us. That way, you can also download the Radio Player Canada app by clicking on the logo and downloading it. And take us with you and listen to us anywhere, anytime on your favorite device. Also, we are streaming at Facebook, facebook.com/Sudbury News, and YouTube at youtube.com/Sudbury News. It's our pleasure to bring you Sudbury News Talk each and every weekday morning between 7:30 and 8:30 a.m. And so many people say that they like to tune in on their drive to work. They're only able to catch a few minutes of the show, and we appreciate you listening on CKLU, your campus and community radio station. Been around since 1984, and we're also streaming on the internet, so make sure to go to our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, Twitter account, Instagram, and like it, share it, subscribe, follow. And on this show, make sure to comment because this is your show. It's your show on your station. And so I'll do my best to get the comments that you are making on the air by reading them. However, it's been a challenge more and more each show as we have more and more listeners and viewers and commenters to get all of your comments on air to read them. However, I do my best to get them up on the screen. It's something that I have the ability of doing. It doesn't just pop up when you make a comment. It doesn't automatically come up on the screen for people watching. It is in the comments, however, so people on Facebook mainly can just, you can even have conversations with each other, which is perfectly fine. So again, I'm technical guy, I'm the host and producer, writer, and a moderator as the show is going on. So you'll have to have some patience with me to keep the ball rolling, keep the conversation going. But we do get it done somehow. It's a miracle each and every weekday morning that Sudbury News Talk happens. And it's in large part thanks to you and commenting on the show and keeping me going when I don't have a special guest in the studio or on the show. That your comments act as, you guys are the guests on the show. So with that, good morning, Monique. Thanks for being with us. We really appreciate it and hope you're having a wonderful morning. It is beautiful outside. We'll get to that in the weather. Good morning, David. Thanks for being with us. Stay safe as usual. Thank you. And Belinda, here you are this morning. Have a awesome day. Yes, good morning. I hope you have an awesome day as well. And I know the other day you said you had 3 cups of coffee in the morning, and you definitely had a lot of energy, that's for sure. And that definitely helped the show that day as well. So keep the comments coming, everybody. We're going to have a great morning. Good morning, Lise. Thanks for being with us. The weather is looking fantabulous, and it's we got a lot of headlines to unpack today. Some of which there was one of those town hall meetings, the mayor has, which I really appreciate. It's not every day that you have them, at least in Sudbury. We're used to our former mayor who basically didn't seem to come out of the office too much, didn't really communicate with the city all that often. But here you have Paula Five, who's going out there and meeting with people and getting, communicating with the public. So these town hall meetings are interesting, and we have a report on the one that happened last night. It's interesting. There's lots there. There's lots going on in our city. There's lots that people are passionate about. And when we talk about this story, obviously you'll see all of that. And we have a lady who reached the 105 age mark for her birthday, and that's pretty amazing. We might do a deep dive into the whole Trudeau thing, foundation, and what happened with that, what's going on with that. The CRA are looking at going on strike with other federal employees. How could that impact us? All kinds of stuff. The Sudbury Arena was on fire yesterday. So stay tuned for those stories and much, much more, as you never know what kind of deep dive we're going to go into after the weather. And with that, Narashin, good morning, everyone. And I hope I pronounced your name correctly. I just take stab at people's names, and hopefully I get it right, and I apologize if I didn't. But good morning to you, and good morning, Caribbean, on YouTube. And Belinda, town hall meetings where the questions are screened. Okay. Interesting, but at the same time, I think people's sentiments got through, because the reporter reporting on it on Sudbury.com mentioned a lot of people asking some deep questions, and maybe they weren't part of the official screened questions, but they definitely got there and they got in the news, and you get your spin of how the reporter interprets those questions as well. We'll have that as a deep dive right after the weather, and we have a little sports update as well. We'll be back right after this. Stay tuned. All right, and your Sudbury weather, as usual, brought to you by sudburyweather.ca. You can find that right on our sudbury.news website, where it's a news aggregator. Takes all the news from the community, all Sudbury news, and puts it in one location, so you don't have to go searching around or wait for it to come to you, as it does in social media on news feeds. You ever just sit there on your phone and you're just scrolling your way through, and you just, whatever's coming up is what you get? Well, this way you can be proactive and go to sudbury.news, and all of the news headlines as they come out are populated there, and you can see the latest as it comes out. So currently it's 7 degrees, and it feels like 7 degrees. And today we can expect sunny, high of 24. Yes, I did say that. Sunny, high of 24 today. Humidex even. We got the Humidex starting. Will feel like 28. Can you believe it? So it's going to feel like 28 out there with the Humidex, and the UV index is 7 or high. Wow. Feels like we just went from winter to summer. I think that's exactly what happened. A lot of snow still left in greater Sudbury area, though. Tons of snow, because we had a lot of storms happening right at the end of winter, or the beginning of spring. And so we still have a lot of snow. In Espanola, where I spend a lot of my time as well, hardly any snow. Yesterday, where I work, it was all the grass was void of snow, and it was surreal just standing out there, sun beating down on me on grass after what we just experienced. Anyway, Friday, tomorrow, it is a mix of sun and cloud, clearing late in the morning, high of 19. So we're going to have another hot one tomorrow. And it'll be clearing, so we'll get some clouds, and then it'll clear. And then Saturday, anticipated to be sunny with a high of 20. So 3 pretty darn nice days in a row. I can't believe this. It's get out there and enjoy it. Get some sun, get some vitamin D, some natural vitamin D from the sun, get some fresh air, and possibly a little exercise. And we probably all have the regular kind of cleanup after the winter, leaves all kinds of stuff in our yards and stuff, and getting ready, bringing things out that were put away and all that. So some natural exercise, some natural vitamin D from the sun should be wonderful. And then, however, that all comes to an end, possibly with a 60% chance of showers on Sunday, high of 16, and then Monday, much of the same, but a high of 7, so it gets cooler. High of 9. That was a 60% chance of showers as well on Monday. Tuesday, mix of sun and cloud. Wednesday, mix of sun and cloud. Won't even talk about that far in the forecast because you know what happens. And here's a look at your satellite over Northern Ontario. It was taken at about 2:30 this morning. As you can see, very clear, mostly over Northern Ontario, very rare, mostly clear Northern Ontario, and especially over Sudbury. As for those that are on the radio, hopefully I described that appropriately. And that is your Sudbury weather, brought to you by sudburyweather.ca. We'll be back with some sports right after this. Sudbury Sports brought to you by sudburysports.com. That is Randy Pascal, who is that Sudbury Sports guy's website, which you can get all things Sudbury Sports. It is a real, vibrant website that has all the latest, greatest of Sudbury Sports. So make sure to check it out, sudburysports.com. And I'm telling you, everything from, schools, all levels of schools, sports in town, all different kinds of sports, from the youngins to older to everything in between, including the Sudbury Wolves, the Sudbury Five, the Spartans, in which we tend to cover mostly here on the show. And with that, the Sudbury Five are in action tonight in Windsor. They will be tipping off against the Windsor Express in Windsor, and they won't be back until Saturday and Sunday for 2 games here in town. So you can catch that game. I think if you go to the 5.ca, they have, if you want to watch the game, they have like a special TV channel just for the league. And I think it costs so much per game, or you can subscribe. Anyways, if you want to catch the game, you can do it that way. If you want to catch them live, they got some inter-league basketball going on Saturday and Sunday, despite the fire that just happened at the Sudbury Arena. I know a lot of people were wondering, what's going to happen with the fire at the Sudbury Arena. Is that going to impede any of the events going on there? But that's not going to. They're going to go right ahead with the games this Saturday. It's bilingual night on Saturday because they're facing off. I keep saying the hockey verbiage. They'll be playing against what is the name of the team? I'll probably slaughter the name, but anyways, L'Académie d'Alma of the Basketball League. It's an American league, but they are out of Quebec. And so 7 p.m. on Saturday, 2 p.m. on Sunday. So back-to-back games. Like I said, Saturday is bilingual night. It's sponsored by Collège Boreal. And you can experience the game in both official languages. And there's prizes to give away as usual. And then Sunday is a sensory-friendly game. Now, Billy was supposed to be on today. He's not feeling well, unfortunately. So I was going to get his take on the sensory-friendly game because he is in charge of the volume, the sound quality, and everything for Wolves games, 5 games at the Sudbury Arena. I want to get his take on that, but he's not feeling well today, so I hope he makes a speedy recovery and feels better throughout the day. Then Sunday also marks the 3rd annual baby race. This is just incredible, just the idea of it. Fastest baby in Sudbury will be announced. It's babies at the halftime go head-to-head for the quickest crawler to be crowned the fastest baby in Sudbury. And there's a prize pack for the fastest baby's family valued at $650. And then there's a chance also for lucky fans, courtesy of USW Local 6500, for a $6,500 prize at halftime. So get out there. Kids under 10 are $10 a ticket. So be a great time. And the Sudbury Arena should be all cleaned up and smelling nice after they had their fire. We'll have more details on that in our headlines after sports. The Sudbury Cubs are also in action tonight. They're down 3-1 in that series, 3-1. They lost their last game 4-3 in overtime in the Sioux, a chance to tie up the series at 2. They were not able to do that. Now they're against the ropes and got to win tonight. But if they do, they go back to the Sioux for another game. And again, they just got to win tonight, win tomorrow night. They get it all tied up. And then they would have the final game here in Sudbury, Game 7, if they're able to get it to that point. So get out tonight, watch the Sudbury Cubs at the Countryside Arena. I'm sure tickets are still available. I'm not sure. But you can go to greatersudbury.ca/tickets for that and much, much more. We'll be back with headlines. That is your Sudbury Sports Report, brought to you by Randy Pascal, and he is at Sudbury Sports Guy, and his website, sudburysports.com. For all things Sudbury Sports, visit sudburysports.com. We'll be back right after this. All right, we'll be right back. Okay, so here we are. We're live on Facebook.com/Sudbury News, YouTube.com/Sudbury News, CKLU.ca streaming, and 96.7 FM on the old school radio. If you're driving to work, hope you have a great day. It's beautiful. I'm sure you're driving going, I can't believe how beautiful this day is, like we all are. And I hope you have a great day at work. And then Friday's tomorrow. With that, good morning, Judy. Thanks for being with us this morning. And we're here going to go through the headlines, and this is incredible. Happy 105th birthday to Laura Belanger. So at 105, Laura Belanger loves ice cream, Yahtzee, the staff and residents at Westmount Retirement Home. Pretty incredible. We'll have a little bit of statistics on, because you're probably wondering, how many people am I going to, first of all, wow, I wonder if I would ever reach 105. You're probably wondering to yourself. And you're probably wondering how many other people, how normal is this? Like, what's the average amount of people that get to reach that milestone in age? And so we have some statistics brought to you by Sudbury.com. Also from Sudbury.com, they had the mayor and Ward 5 councillor Mike Parent had a town hall last night, and that was in New Sudbury. At McDonald Cartier, in fact. And there's a lot of interesting things to unpack. That'll probably be what we're going to unpack today. And it might lead into some other deep dives. So stay tuned for that. There's so many important things with the city going on that came out, including, the idea of a 15-minute city that Sudbury.com's reporter apparently has chalked up to a conspiracy theory. We're not going to get into that right now. I'm going to dedicate probably 2 or 3 shows on this idea. And is Sudbury on the docket for one of these 15-minute cities? And we'll look into that. Apparently, Paul LaFive was asked that when they had their town hall in Azilden, said he had no idea, he never heard of it before, which I do have a hard time believing. However, it's not impossible. And they're talking about also the hospital, the Rainbow Hospital, the old General Hospital, an eyesore, basically for the community. He has plans to deal with that. He even himself admitted that's got to come down. The safe injection sites, the transitional homes that are going to be built in New Sudbury. So there's that. There's so many things that came out in that meeting. I'm just realizing, and I realized after reading that article, how many issues we're facing in Sudbury alone just from that town hall, and people are voicing their concerns at all of them. So let's wait for that, and we'll dive into that. And hopefully we'll also have a chance to look at the political climate and how it's changed, and how Justin Trudeau is involved in that, and the Trudeau Foundation. What's happened with that? Why did everybody quit all of a sudden? That's not normal. Usually foundations are a lot of affluent people on the boards, and they make these foundations for purposes that are supposed to be for a good cause that really help out a lot of people. And so what's going on there? Like, why would the whole entire board, I think they said including Justin Trudeau's sister, but I could be wrong. It's a relation to him. Anyways, we'll dive into that as well. We're going to make time for that. Federal government releases list of programs and services that could be affected by public service strikes that are coming up. I heard as early as this Friday, the CRA could be on the picket lines. And what would that do to affect your tax return? If you're going to get a tax return, well, it's going to be very delayed. And but if you owe, it's probably a good thing. Gives you a little extra time. Federal government releases the list of services. Although not all details are known, the list contains a glimpse into what Canadians could expect. From lighthouses to pensions, consular services, and commercial fishing licenses, the federal government has released a list of programs, services, and facilities that may be affected if public service workers strike, as well as those that are expected not to be disrupted. Approximately 159,000 public service workers. Did you know that's how many public service workers we had? 160,000 workers now in legal strike positions. More than 46,000 jobs across a broad range of functions have been deemed essential following a lengthy negotiated process. These workers are considered necessary to the safety and security of the public or a segment of the public and will continue to deliver services. Although not all details are known, the list contains a glimpse into what Canadians could expect. Certain Canada Revenue Agency services may be delayed. Of course it's going to be delayed. So, or unavailable altogether. CRA anticipates there may be delays in processing some income tax and benefit returns, particularly those filed by paper. And increased wait times in contact centers. CRA is encouraging Canadians to use its online services to complete tasks such as registering for direct deposit, changing personal information, making payments, tracking the status of your returns, and applying for child benefits. So here you have the government basically wanting everybody to go online, and they're obviously taking the strike as an opportunity to capitalize on that. However you may view that, it's definitely a push to use the online services as we go to a 100% digital world where everything is done over the internet. There are some holdouts and maybe even our top story of the day, Mrs. Belanger, who reached 105. I wonder if she's able to file her taxes online and do everything online. More than likely not. So there are still quite a few Canadians, and we'll get to those numbers as well in a few short moments. First, let's see what else we got in the news here. Yeah, there was the fire at the Sudbury Community Arena yesterday. We'll have more on that. It's the anniversary, 2 years since the layoffs of Laurentian University. But let's first of all go back to a couple of comments here. Belinda's had her coffee this morning, so she's raring to go. Chinese interference into the election. Find it hard to believe that the board members are only worried about that right now. So, okay, yeah, back to our story that we're going to get to with the Trudeau Foundation. From where I live, I can already arrive just about anywhere within the city, 15 minutes or less by car. That is true. We'll also cover that in Paul Lefebvre's comments that he doesn't believe Sudbury can be a 15-minute city just because of its size. And you just said you can get to almost anywhere in the city within 15 minutes. And also, I believe the same, and I live kind of in an outlining area. So, it's his half-sister, Monique says, when we said that it could be his sister who is on the board of the Trudeau Foundation. Thanks, Monique, for that, half-sister. I know Miles chimed in yesterday after the show and said he doesn't have a sister as a sibling, so that clarifies that for sure. And I'm pretty sure I heard the reporter of the video that I'm going to be sharing about that mention that as well. So it's been 2 years since the debacle at Laurentian University and all that has happened, and so we'll have a little bit more on that. There was a crash, Big Nickel Road, yesterday. It was closed for quite a bit of time. We'll have more on that as well. And we have some video from a viewer here. Charles sent us a video of what it looked like yesterday at the Sudbury Arena while it was on fire. Let's see if we can share that for y'all and get that. There's sound as well with it. There you go. Get that large on the screen if I can here. So as you can see, the smoke coming out of the front of the Sudbury Arena there. Pretty early in the day, because it happened while we were on the show yesterday. So anyhow, I just thought I'd give you a little glimpse of what the fire looked like outside the Sudbury Arena yesterday morning, and we'll also have more on that as we go through our stories. Perfect, and thanks to Charles for sharing that with us. Much appreciated. Okay, so that's the story on the mayor. We'll dive more deep into that a little bit later. So yeah. Okay, so Deborah Coyne is Pierre Trudeau's daughter. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for that. Keeping us real here on the show with real information. Appreciate it as we go through. And we do rely on your comments to keep everything moving along and factual as much as possible. Because there's, again, I'm limited to my ability with what I'm doing here. I can't really research while I'm on the fly, because then you'd just be watching me doing research. So got to keep the show rolling, right? So happy birthday, 105th birthday to Laura Belanger. Laura Belanger celebrated a very special birthday week this week. This is coming from Sudbury.com. They have a segment each and every morning where there's good morning stories to start your day. It's usually the stories from yesterday, and they're not all that current. They could be a little bit more current, but it is what it is, and I appreciate that, Sudbury.com doing that. She turned 105 years old, Belanger, who was born on April 11th, 1918. Has been a resident at the Chartwell Westmount on the Chartwell Westmount on William retirement residence in New Sudbury for the past 22 years. Numbers from Statistics Canada, and this is what I was alluding to before that we're all curious about. Last year's show, Belanger is one of an estimated, get this, 13,485 Canadians out of a population of almost 39 million who are aged 100 or older. I didn't know that. I didn't know we had that many people that age or older. In 2011, so, over a decade ago, about 40%, this is the last time they got these statistics, I believe, over 40% of all centurions in Canada were exactly 100, while just 6% were aged 105 or older. So out of all of the people who were 100 or older, only 6% of those were 105. So it's very rare, meaning that Belanger's 105th birthday is a very rare and special occasion indeed. So the staff and residents there went out, got a birthday cake and balloons and the whole deal, and sang her happy birthday. And so with that, happy birthday, Laura. That's a pretty exciting birthday for sure. The Laurentian mass CCAA layoffs were 2 years ago yesterday. A group of former Laurentian University faculty who were terminated by the university 2 years ago, marking the second anniversary of Black Monday, quote unquote, on what has been dubbed, Black Monday. The community learned that Laurentian had cut 58 undergraduate and 11 graduate programs and 194 full-time positions 116 full-time faculty, 41 unionized staff, and 37 non-unionized jobs on April 12th, 2021. 2 years ago, targeted faculty were sent an email with a Zoom link, said a press release from Laurentian University's terminated faculty committee. Then started Monday morning in groups of 10 to 20. The university vice president read us a bland 2 to 3 minute statement announcing that we were terminated. Then she disappeared, leaving us in the hands of a corporate termination consultant. Yes, welcome to the corporate culture. This happened at a place I was working at, Bell, actually. I'll just come out and say it. Bell Canada. We had a huge sales force to deliver their fiber throughout Northern Ontario. You know how it's Bell Fibe now. Excuse me. It used to be Bell Fiber Op. Well, they hired a team, which I was a part of, to basically get customers for Bell Fibe. They did everything under the sun to get those customers, and then they just terminated the sales teams. No more use for you anymore. We already got all the customers we need. Thank you so much. And that's what they did. So just one day you show up at the meeting, there's someone there you don't recognize. They're like, so today's your last day. And here's the person who's going to help you transition through your unemployment life of not being employed anymore. So that's what happened to Laurentian's faculty. She then disappeared, leaving us in the hands of the corporate termination consultant. The terminated faculty say that today, quote, Laurentian is a severely wounded and demoralized institution thanks to years of misleadership by its senior administration and board of governors. So again, I think that's put in a way that probably sums up the way that everybody's feeling at Laurentian after all of that, going bankrupt and the way everything was handled. No doubt in my mind. I'll just say that again. Laurentian, and that's coming from the terminated faculty. Laurentian is a severely wounded and demoralized institution thanks to years of misleadership by its senior administration and board of governors. And with that, I might as well just say now that this show, Sudbury News Talk, in no wise represents the views of Laurentian University or that of CKLU as a radio station or organization. We take ownership of our own views on this show, or anyone commenting, they take ownership of their own views as well. If you do comment on this show, know that I may read them and you are responsible for those comments that you are making. I cannot even take responsibility for those because they come from you, and everyone should be able to share their own comments and not be linked with someone else because they've shared those comments. And so I just wanted to say that disclaimer now on this show. Now, Big Nickel Mine road crash. First of all, no, there's a comment here, Belinda. So my grandma was 103 when she passed. 8 children, 2 sets of twins. She drank a little shot of brandy every night. Right on. Also, I think they asked Laura what was some of the, secrets of longevity there. And I think she did include ice cream in there. And I've heard that a couple times, that a couple people were asked after they reached the century milestone, what were some of the secrets of their longevity. And I believe I heard ice cream quite a bit. Or was that just because, that's just their favorite thing to eat? I have no idea. I don't think that has any links to prolonging your life in any way, shape, or form. If anything, I would think it would be quite the opposite. But look, I'm not a doctor or a biologist or anything that's going to, and I don't want to make any health claims. That is definitely for sure. I just heard a lot of people saying that. So let's see. I just went over the story. Big Nickel Mine road crash sends elderly woman to hospital is the headline. A woman is in hospital and a man is in custody following a crash on Big Nickel Mine Road this yesterday afternoon. Greater Sudbury Police were dispatched to the scene of a 2-vehicle collision near the Elm Street ramp at around 1:30. Police said the crash sent a 74-year-old woman to hospital with serious injuries, unfortunately, and while the 37-year-old male driver of the other vehicle was arrested at the scene for impaired driving and driving while suspended even. The crash closed the roadway for several hours, unfortunately. So, and I know I was coming home and I was going to be taking that route, and just happened to turn it on Pure Country, as I do often, just sift through all the different radio stations trying to catch as much as I can from what's going on from multiple sources, and just happened to hear their road report at the time, and took a different route. But anyways, we're hoping for a recovery for this elderly lady who by being hit by an impaired driver is just something that you never think is going to happen. And so our hearts and our prayers go out to her and her family for a quick recovery in hospital. So that is that. Anything we missed? Let's go through the meeting yesterday with our mayor and Ward 5 councillor, Mike Perron. And, good thing they are expanding the Sudbury jail. Yeah, for sure. Unfortunately, I don't know if he is able to be in line to be rehabilitated quickly. He may not face jail time. But if he goes out and protests, people dressing up as opposite sex, dancing in front of children, they could get put into jail. Because they're ramping up the laws on that side to be stricter, and they're lessening the other laws that usually we would say common sense tells us people would have to be accountable for their actions, including this one. They're giving less and less sentences based on the idea of if the person could be rehabilitated, they'd rather take that road than go with strict punishment and jail time. That's the way our country is going. Mayor faces sometimes raucous crowd at latest town hall meeting is the headline. Mayor Paul Lefebvre joined Ward Councillor Mike Perron in hosting a town hall meeting at École Secondaire McDonald Cartier in New Sudbury on Wednesday. So that was last night. The reporter Tyler Clark, he reports on political issues and downtown stuff for Sudbury.com. So Mayor Paul Lefebvre found himself facing a sometimes raucous crowd. And does anyone know about SMART, what SMART stands for? So that was coming from the crowd. An audience member at one point hollered. Ward 5 Councillor Mike Parent and City CAO Ed Archer near the end of the meeting at École Secondaire. So that came at the end of the meeting, and it was hollered to those particular people who were at the meeting. So this particular reporter was going to report on what they explained, which is interesting. Usually you don't get reporters, getting the details of what a heckler is saying at the back of the room. But in this case, he's covering it. So it stands for Smart Secret Military Armament in Residential Technology. So SMART. I did not hear that before myself. That's interesting. Now I'm going to look into that. So if someone says something, I don't dismiss it and go, that sounds ridiculous. I just can't imagine that being true and move on with my life. So if that is true, it is. I'm going to look into that. So I don't know. The residents' comments came in response to the city's ongoing efforts to install smart water meters, which automatically transmit user data online and do away with manual meter reading. So basically, the reporter is saying there's no connection between smart meters and this whole smart 15-minute city thing. So the resident at Wednesday night's meeting with his own unique SMART acronym appears to ascribe to the belief the smart water meters aren't truly to save time and taxpayer dollars, but rather have a nefarious purpose. While there's no evidence to support the idea. So I guess this particular reporter went, and just dove right in and did a bunch of research to find evidence. And after, coming away from the meeting, wrote the story that night, because this came out just after the meeting. He wrote the story, basically a couple hours it was out after the meeting. So he must have done tons of research on this, whether it was true or not, and spent a lot of time, at least, he had to write the story too. So maybe it takes an hour to write a story like this. So he at least had another hour to research this. And after his hour of research, says there's no evidence to support the idea. It and similar notions find fertile ground online. Oh, so he might have found something online. So there was something online, but he must have found no evidence online, and occasionally appear at town hall meetings. So concern about smart water meters wasn't the only fringe idea to crop up during April 12th's gathering, the meeting. Wednesday meeting was the third time the 15-minute city conspiracy came up. And I guess there's no evidence to support that idea either. Maybe we should send Tyler, I guess his internet must be down, and he claims that there's lots of fertile ground on the internet for these conspiracy ideas to be perpetuated. I'm wondering where he gets his evidences from when he's researching something. I wonder if he goes to the library and looks in encyclopedias, because that's where you go if you don't go on the internet. So he's on the internet, obviously, doing his research, but he claims that these ideas that have no evidence are also on the internet. So he's getting his evidence on the internet, but he's also claiming that other people are getting some kind of weird ideas on that same internet. So something's up here. Like, who's researching what? So you're researching on the internet and you couldn't find any evidence whatsoever that 15-minute cities are an actual thing that are actually being rolled out in our country at the moment, let alone our country, let alone the world. It's an actual thing. This is a scientific thing that they are experimenting with and rolling out in the world. I do this in my spare time, Tyler. My spare time, and I know that. You get paid. That's your full-time gig. You should be able to find evidence, I would think. So when you're on the internet, make sure to dig a little deeper and go to the actual website. Just go to the WEF website, and it'll have all the information there for you. So if you're not sure where to go, the WEF is the World Economic Forum, where people that are very distinguished and prominent and affluent in our world go to discuss many, many, many economic issues that our world is facing. And they talk about this right on their website, and they talk about companies that are involved with it and how it's going to roll out and why. So go to the WEF, the World Economic Forum, if you haven't heard of it. And go to the website. So you don't even have to go scouring the internet for all of the fringe fertile soil stuff that you're talking about. Just go to their website. That's all I'm going to say. You get paid to do that, right? So it's not like me who has to take my 15-minute break from work. And how did I find that so quickly? Anyways, Tyler, I'm sure you do a lot of hard work at your job, and you do it very well. So I'm just giving you that as a freebie for you, just to help you out in your job, which we help each other, right? So appreciate that. So that wasn't the only thing that arose at the meeting. Okay, so he does say the idea of a 15-minute city derives from a legitimate concept urban planners use to talk about maximizing density and encouraging environmental stewardship. The concept urges the creation of an urban environment in which residents can walk or cycle to get everything they need within 15 minutes. So, but he says conspiracy theorists from around the world have twisted the concept as setting the stage for a world in which people are confined to specific neighborhoods in which they have been forcibly isolated from any friends and family outside of their 15-minute bubble. In responding to the question about 15-minute cities, Wednesday, neither Lefebvre nor Parent addressed the conspiratorial nature of the concept, opting instead to distance themselves from it. Paul Lefebvre says, our city is not a 15-minute city. That is not what we're doing as a council. That is not on our radar. And by the way, the city is too large to consider such a concept. There's been no discussion, not one time, on 15-minute city, Parent later added. The elected officials' responses were punctuated by jeering from a section of the audience where a group of people, many of whom sported Freedom Convoy regalia, and gathered. So right here, there's kind of a separation between the type of people that are there. The media is coining them, or at least in this case, Tyler is coining them as conspiracy theorists with no founded evidence that, of what they are worried about a 15-minute city becoming or what it's about. But if you go on WEF's website, you can just read what it is, read the surveillance aspect of it. That Tyler, maybe you want to look into how 15-minute cities, the part of them that the smart aspect, everything, the Internet of Things, how everything, your fridge talks to your microwave, which talks to your TV and everything, and how all that incorporates with a 15-minute city. Make that connection, and how it's all the data is compiled, and what they do with that data and what it could be used for. So how about that? Maybe research that end of it, and maybe ask yourself, okay, as a reporter, what is a 15-minute city? Why is it here? Where is it coming from? When are they planning to roll it out? Where is it? What is it doing in other cities? And how is it going to impact our life? So if you just ask yourself the 5 W's and H of good reporting on this, just keep asking yourself, don't even turn off your brain and just ask those questions as if you were a computer, and you'll end up finding the answers that you're looking for. But if you're not looking for them, you won't find them, which is okay. If you don't want to dig any deeper, that's okay. You don't have to. I mean, you might lose your job, right? So you don't want to do that as well. So that's one of the things. You might lose your funding that you get from the government to do the actual reporting that you're doing. You don't want to bite the hand that feeds, obviously. Or if you just want to stick to principles and journalism integrity, you could do that, and you could just put that first before even you can say, look, I put that before my pay even, and look, I found something that even my employers and the people that sign my check don't agree with. That's real reporting. All right, so other things were the 40-unit transitional housing complex that the city's looking to build on Lorraine Street. The complex is part of the city's response to rising issue of homelessness, people experiencing homelessness, it should say, if we're wanting to be up on top with the verbiage that we're told to say, in the community. A question from the audience inquired as to why the complex was being built on Lorraine Street, right? So don't tell me it's not going to devalue our property, because it will, an audience member yelled. I wonder if they were donning any kind of paraphernalia of anything. Did they wear a Michael Jackson t-shirt as they were saying this? I wonder if, what kind of person was saying this? I wonder if you can trust, or I wonder if that's a conspiracy theory that the properties are going to be devalued. Lefebvre clarified that the residents will be members of the city's chronically homeless community. Lefebvre clarified that the residents will be members of the city's chronically homeless community who want to find permanent community housing and need support to be successful. We're not forcing people there, he said. And Health Sciences North has partnered and stuff with Health Sciences North has partnered with the city to hire assertive community treatment team to provide support for residents. So they're going to have a team there. The team consists of physicians, nurses, social workers, and substance use support workers. Sounding a little bit more holistic, if you ask me, rather than just safe injection sites and leaving them to their own. So Parent opposed the Lorraine Street location originally, but since, because council voted on it, he's now there to kind of try and be a liaison between his constituents and the fact that it's going forward. And so he's between a rock and a hard place. What we want to see, the success here, is that nobody will even notice this transitional housing. And that spurred another round of jeering from the audience. So Mike Perrant preempted Wednesday's meeting with a post on social media with which he sought to clarify points of misinformation he caught wind of about this particular thing. So at first, the first point had to do with the location of the meeting at a close second there, McDonald Cartier in New Sudbury, with some arguing the meeting should have been held in the Valley. So approximately 52% of the ward is held in Sudbury. The balance is held in the Valley, he clarified. So yeah, that's a kind of a split up ward, if you ask me. So another point he sought to clarify was the change in user fees that took place at Howard Armstrong Recreation Center, which is a whole story on its own. So they had a membership there, and so people have a membership, a year-long membership, and now there's fees people are going to be asked to pay. There's a change in the fees. Took effect on April 1st, so people were unaware of that. He also clarified during the interview with Sudbury.com earlier this week, the changes were made to level the playing field across Greater Sudbury's recreational facilities. So the old Paris Street Hospital, the General Hospital, that was another point that came up. The developer has sat, this is Paul Lefebvre talking, the developer has sat on it far too long and now it needs to change, in response to an audience member declaring it needs to be torn down. He goes, I couldn't agree more with you. It's an embarrassment, and that it is, for sure. There was a tax deferral deal the Idlewild Golf and Country Club has with the city that's being reviewed. They talked about that. The city's funding of downtown supervised consumption sites will be evaluated in a report to the City Council in September. The project is under provincial jurisdiction, but previous City Council opted to proceed with its funding when the province neglected to come on board for the harm reduction effort. So again, that's huge, right? The whole idea of safe injection site downtown. We're looking at that. How does that affect our city? Are we really going to get a real good idea of how well that is functioning in the city? The city is getting short change when it comes to revenue derived from local mining industry. That's a huge issue we haven't even touched on this show for so long, on how billions of dollars are coming out of the soil here in this city, and how very little it actually stays in this city, and how many bad roads, things that could be paid for from the ore, the very the richness that comes out of our ground here could actually come back to the city. You would think, you would hope that the city would get some benefits from it. The province definitely does. The country for sure, and other countries that own the companies that mine the materials here get so much money. I'm sure if you saw the very little tax dollars compared to what the revenues are made from here, would make anybody's stomach turn. And so Paul Lefebvre says we're getting shortchanged when it comes to revenue derived from the local mining industry, adding that it's an ongoing point of conversation with the province. Perrant said building relationships with the province as the hub for critical minerals is the best approach, and I agree with that. So if you go to the province, you say, look, you guys are taking all the money. Bay Street is getting incredibly rich, has been incredibly rich from the 1800s to now, and we need a little bit back so we can invest in making mining industry even more productive and more get more revenue from it for the province. If you can just take some of that money, invest it back into our community, I think that is the way to go. And that's unfortunately all the time we have. We had so many comments coming through as I was trying to get through that story, but we are indeed out of time. Yes, we are. I cannot believe that. I cannot believe that time has gone that fast. Just trying to get your comments up here. Make sure to check out the Facebook page for everyone's comments. Great conversations going on there as usual. So if you are listening on the radio and you're like, I don't really know what everyone's been chiming in and talking about, all you have to do is afterwards visit Sudbury News's Facebook page at facebook.com/Sudbury News. Check out all the comments there. Make sure to comment yourself. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow all of our social media so that way we can have a more robust conversation with the community each and every weekday morning between 7:30 and 8:30, live on CKLU 96.7 FM and on all things social media at Sudbury News or at Sudbury.news. Well, actually, the only at Sudbury.news is our website, Sudbury.news, and our Instagram is at Sudbury.news. Everything else is at Sudbury News without a dot. So thanks for being with us. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily right here on CKLU 96.7 FM. Make sure to afterwards stay tuned for all the great programming that's on this station, as well as check out the schedule for shows that you might want to check out at some point. There's a lot going on here, even more than, I don't know, maybe there's more comments that I'm trying to get up on the screen and it just looks like I might not be able to do it in time. So thanks for being with us today. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow on Friday. And thanks again. Oh, Dave, you're here. Crap. I wasn't able to get to your comments, but maybe I can look at them later. I really appreciate you being on the show. And with that, I can't get them. Oh, here we go. I might be able to. Have a great day, everyone. Ciao.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.